Globalization surfaced gender, culture, and political awareness due to worldwide interconnectivity. The differences among the culture, gender, and political stand of the different nations tend to open awareness to everyone, especially since it's in globalization. People make culture and culture makes people. Culture does change in dialogue with changing economic and socio-political circumstances. A culture changes with other cultures with which it is brought into contact through commercial or political relations.
Globalization has the potential to contribute to greater gender equality. However, in the policy absence of public policy, globalization alone cannot end gender inequality. Despite significant increases in agency and access to economic opportunities for many women in many countries, significant gender gaps remain in some areas.
Political surface globalization because, in politics, globalization has had many negative and positive consequences such as increased power and liberty of nations, groups, and non-governmental parties, expanse of new political culture, weaken and wash of the rule and illegitimate controlling of countries and global decision-making. Moreover, some politicians abuse their power in collecting of their needs to put it to advantage.
Is it possible to have too much of a good thing? Well, political correctness is an important concept that protects those who are discriminated unfairly, yet it is widely misunderstood.
Today, globalization is constant and even irreversible. Globalization influences the different cultures worldwide, as the definition implies that globalization is the increase in economic, political, and cultural integration and interdependence of diverse cultures, the worldwide integration of humanity. Globalization contributes to the spread of cultural ties between the people and human migration. It helps increase cultural awareness by making nations realize how important it is to know their cultural heritage.
What is cultural awareness? According to reference.com, cultural awareness is defined as the ability to recognize the different beliefs, values, and customs that someone has based on that person's origins. And it allows a person to build more successful personal and professional relationships in a diverse environment.
Importance of communication to cultural awareness in globalization. The ability to communicate across cultural boundaries has grown increasingly important as society becomes more globally integrated. The exchange of cultural values between countries and convergence of traditions are aided by communication in cultural awareness. It helps people adapt the culture of others, to have unity and to understand each other's side. Individuals from various countries, ethnicities, languages, cultural attitudes, and other differences must be able to communicate effectively with one another in order to work together.
Tradition is a long-established customer belief that has been passed on from one generation to another. Different countries around the globe have different traditions. An example is presented to further elaborate the concept.
We Filipinos are widely known for our colorful traditions and culture. Our traditions are reflections of our great and complex history. It is considered as an influence of those who we usually interacted with. Here are some of the many traditions that we have been practicing for a long period of time and a bit reflection on how our traditions differs from other countries' traditions. Dining customs. We Filipinos are very intimate when it comes to meals. We always make sure that each of the family members is present before eating. We are also fond of doing the traditional kamay when eating instead of using dining utensils. While for the Chinese, they find it disgusting when someone uses their hands as a substitute for their spoon and fork. They firmly believe that our hands are the dirtiest part of our body and it is wrong to use it when eating. Beauty standard. They say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder, and I must say, I agree. The people around us have different perspectives when it comes to beauty. What was considered beautiful for someone may not be the same for the other people, and it's perfectly fine. We Filipinos are perfectly blessed with tan skin, kayumanggi as they say, while other countries, especially USA, bath themselves under the sun just to have tan lines and darker complexion.
When it comes in respecting elders, Filipinos tend to use po, opo when talking to an elder. They perform mano as a sign of respect towards elders and as a way of accepting a blessing from them. On the other hand, Americans showing respect to their elders by being polite. They don't address their elders with their first name unless they are given permission. In America, tattoos have become part of mainstream culture in the United States. They are socially acceptable and not seen as over-the-counter culture. They believe that tattoo won't affect their jobs prospects. While in Philippines, tattoos are not allowed in some jobs or as long as they are not visible.
The mentioned examples are the comparison of traditions of different countries. Indeed, traditions vary, but respect should be evident because traditions respond to the environment in which people live. The practice of religion may include rites, rituals, worship, sacrifices, fiestas, and others. In many cases, religions have become the basis of power structures and have become intertwined with it, be they Christian, Hindu, Muslim, Jewish, or other. For further explanation about the religious beliefs in the Philippines, an example is presented.
Iglesia ni Cristo, Pentecost, born again, they are prohibited from drinking blood or eating food that contains blood. When they come to visit you at home, for example, be mindful about the food that you serve them because it may offend them in some way. Whereas, other religions like Roman Catholic are allowed to eat or drink animal blood or food mixed with blood.
But, some things are also prohibited to Roman Catholic like not eating meat whenever it is Holy Week, Ash Wednesday, and all Fridays for 40 days until the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. They have to do fasting and abstinence to commemorate the passion and death of Jesus Christ. They were not allowed to eat any kind of meat because they believed that meat was chosen as a sacrifice. For example, when you are a Pentecost and your girlfriend is a Catholic, you tell her that you will buy her food. Be careful that it is not meat because she might break up with you.
From the example, we could see that there are different beliefs of the religions in the Philippines. Thus, we should be aware that not everyone has religious or spiritual beliefs, and that's fine. The important thing is to accept that some people place a lot of importance on this aspect of their lives and to respect their right to believe whatever they want, even if you don't agree with them. Accent is the part of dialect concerning pronunciation. One language, over 1 billion native speakers, and countless ways to speak it. The lingua franca of the world has its fair share of accents depending on the country and even region you are in.
There are many different languages and dialects spoken all around the world, like saying hello. In Philippines, they say kamusta. In French, bonjour. In Spanish, hola. In American, hello. In Italian, salve. In Chinese, ni hao. English is known as a Magpie language that picks up words from almost every other languages and culture it comes in contact with. Thus, there is a diverse pronunciation of words worldwide. The reason is that it could be that the accent affects the pronunciation, or in some cases, the pronunciation can also be affected by other languages spoken in that area. Second, the spelling and grammar is different. For example, in British English, they say color or program. In American English, color or program. See, the spelling and grammar are different.
What a number of accents, vocabularies, and language we have in the world. Keep in mind that there are no superior or inferior accents or language. Thus, we all have our I love your accent, say it again, moments.
The importance of cultural awareness. Firstly, it helps us break down cultural barriers like language, stereotypes, prejudices, behaviors, beliefs, and others. Also, we can also learn how to love and appreciate those different from us. We can relate better to people with cultural differences as we begin to understand ourselves better. This results in more cultural connection and less cultural conflict. Lastly, being aware of common differences between cultures increases trust, improves our relationship with each other, and improves communication so we can get along.
How to show cultural awareness. 1. Observe one's own culturally influenced values, beliefs, perceptions, and biases. 2. Listen, learn about other people's cultures, and value our differences. 3. Communicate clearly and avoid misunderstandings. 4. Ask questions, avoid having presumptions. Finally, and most importantly, show respect.
A little friendly reminder, the world we are living are full of different culture and traditions. We may not agree on some things, but keep in mind that we are all the same despite of our cultural differences, race, nationality, and religion.
At birth, we are characterized as male or female based on the appearance of our external genitalia or other biological characteristics. However, as individuals who grew up in different environments, our gender or sexual preference may change.
Gender is a socially constructed characteristics of men, women, girls, or boys not necessarily aligned with their sex, but is what an individual adopts as their gender identity.
Gender awareness plays a role in helping men and women become aware about gender equality, benefits of gender equality, and consequences of gender inequality.
Gender-aware, our attitude, behavior, and beliefs change positively against inequality between men and women. Hence, being gender-aware is being gender-sensitive.
Gender sensitivity is the act of being sensitive to the ways people think about gender. Its purpose is to reduce barriers to personal and economic development created by sexism.
It opens our eyes to discrimination and gender inequalities. Help us to understand, to be considerate, and to respect one another regardless of one's sex or gender. Gender sensitivity is about getting rid of wrong notions, perception, and stereotypes about one's gender, and learning to interact with the opposite gender.
Hi, Mommy!
Hello, honey. Come on, let's go.
Dad, why are you here? I mean, all of my classmates, their mothers are the one who picks them up.
It's because your mom is working to provide for us. Besides, women nowadays are also in demand, especially to other countries to work. And we can do what mothers can do to their kids. Don't worry, my child. As your mom is working hard in there, I'll try my best to take good care of you.
I'm sorry, Dad. And thank you so much for always picking me up.
It's fine.
Mommy, I want to be a policewoman. Is that okay?
Of course it's okay, love. What made you ask if it's okay?
My classmates laugh at me when I said I want to be a policewoman, and my teachers seem confused with my dream, all because I'm a girl. So I wondered if it's not right for me to be one.
Iha, it's fine to dream whatever dream you want to achieve. It doesn't matter whether you are a girl or a boy. What you want is what matters. You become a police not because you're a boy, but because you are determined and passionate to be called one. Understand?
Yes, Mommy. Thank you.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Nurse Ivan. Let me just administer this to you. It's for your...
Can I request for female nurse?
May I know the reason why you want a different nurse?
A female nurse to be exact.
Why is that?
Because they are better nurses. Well, don't get me wrong, men are better doctors, but you are nurse, so I want a different one. Female nurse, okay?
What made you think that women are better nurses?
Well, women are better caretakers. After all, they usually do the cooking, cleaning, and takes good care of the family. So wouldn't it make sense for them to take care of the patients and not treat them? That's why men should be doctors and women should be nurses.
That's not right though. Men can be good caretakers as well. We can also do the cleaning, cooking, and taking care of the family. You can do that as well, mom. Your gender does not determine whether you are good or bad at these things. It depends on the person. It depends on the skill actually. Times are changing. Traditional roles of both genders are changing, and people can now decide which role they want to play, regardless of their gender. Now, may I administer this already?
Yes, please. I'm sorry for that. I know better now.
That's alright.
The relationship between globalization and gender sensitivity and the relevance of globalization for transforming gender relations has been increasingly noticeable. With globalization, the traditional roles of both gender are changing, and people can now decide which role they want to play. Both men and women are vital with various of role and capacity. Globalization has the potential to contribute to greater gender equality. Along with this, be respectful and we must encourage and promote the uplift and wellness of our own opposite gender, for all genders are made by nature equally. Accepting this and keeping it will make life grow sustainably to all community and make a just and fair society for everyone.
Gender awareness helps us to see the goodness of gender equality, that men and women is equal. No one is above another. A woman can do a man's work and vice versa. We must be proud of who we are, accept and love our differences and flaws, accept our real identity and gender.
We should become the person who recognizes the equality and full humanity of every gender. Just like what Emma Watson said, it is time that we all see gender as a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals. Labels aside, we are all different, we are all unique, and we are all valid.
Stop, 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 stop. 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 Stop gender stereotyping.
Political correctness is a term used to refer to language that seems intended to give the least amount of offense, especially when describing groups identified by external markers such as race, gender, culture, or sexual orientation.
In
In simpler terms, political correctness means avoiding language and actions that insult, exclude, or harm people who are already experiencing disadvantage and discrimination. The concept of political correctness is based on the belief that speech or behavior that is offensive to various groups' sensibilities should be eliminated by means of regulations or penalties, if necessary.
So, if you say that someone is politically correct, it means that they are extremely careful not to offend or upset any group of people in this society who have a disadvantage or who have been treated differently because of their sex, gender, race, or disability.
Politically correct communication means that communication must be truthful, factual, reassuring, and consistent.
One example is asking a person about their partner instead of using gendered terms like girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife. You might choose to do this to avoid assuming the person's sexual orientation or gender, or even that they have chosen to be married.
Political correctness is intended to help us use language that helps instead of harms. Whether the discrimination comes from racism, homophobia, sexism, or transphobia, the bottom line remains the same.
The term has often been used derisively to ridicule the notion that altering language usage can change the public's perceptions and beliefs as well as influence outcomes.
One of the most commonly stated goals of political correctness is the elimination of verbal discrimination and negative stereotyping.
Another example, some people make a distinction between impairment and disability, using impairment to refer to a condition such as loss of vision or limb, and disability refers to activities that are difficult or impossible to undertake, such as reading small print or climbing the stairs.
In conclusion, political correctness stops or avoids any kind of unintentional disrespect to others. It assures comfortability and calls everyone for respect for otherness in terms of gender, culture, race, or any beliefs that a person has.
This political correctness is helpful to avoid misunderstandings and avoid any cause of unintended misconception. It values the feelings of others and make other person to be mindful about the words or language that it will going to say to someone, whether it will going to be offensive or not.
Being political correctly means to understand others' situation, being discriminated and offended by words that someone thinks is helpful, but the truth is it is harm.
Remember, this culture does not violate the freedom of speech. Free to speech means you can't be silenced, and does not mean you are free to say words that are offensive for others.
Living in the world of diversity, globalization helps individuals, countries, and/or nations become aware of the shoulds and should nots. As countries become more globalized, misunderstandings and conflict may arise due to differences in culture, beliefs, and perspective of people.
With these three concepts, gender sensitivity, cultural awareness, and political correctness, we learn to understand, to respect, to be sensitive and considerate of others and treat them equally, regardless of their gender, race, ethnicity, culture, customs, and beliefs. As the saying goes, appreciate similarities, respect differences. By educating ourselves and by becoming aware, we are able to connect and communicate without offending or disrespecting anyone.